Good afternoon and welcome to our respected invited guests in the public hearing technical notes on Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. For invited guests who have joined in Zoom, we ask you to activate the camera and deactivate the microphone. Make sure you have filled in the registration link in the chat box. Apart from the Zoom meeting room, this event can also be viewed through the ISAF Indonesia YouTube channel. We ask your willingness to wait because the event will begin shortly. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to extend a very warm welcome and good afternoon to Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari, Secretary General of Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institution, Mr. Tarmizi Tohor, Zakat and Waqf Empowerment Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Nur, World Zakat and Waqf Forum Secretary General, Mr. Arif Hartawan, Head of Sharia Economic and Finance Department of Bank Indonesia. The speakers, Dr. Irfan Shauki Beg, Executive Secretary World Zakat and Waqf Forum, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal, Head of World Zakat and Waqf Forum Research and Development Unit, Professor Habib Ahmed, Sarjah Chair in Islamic Law and Finance, Durham University, Dr. Dadang Mulyawan, Vice Rector of Universitas Islam International Indonesia, Dr. Elnur Salihovic, Deputy Secretary General World Zakat and Waqf Forum. The moderator, Mr. Shahruddin MSc, Director of International Center for Awqaf Studies, middle and primary high officials of ministries institutions, invitees and attendees. Welcome to the public hearing technical notes on Zakat Core Principles and Waqf Core Principles. I am Ampi Putri and I will be your host for today's event. We would like to inform you that the entire team on duty has undergone on antigen swab and implemented strict COVID-19 health protocols throughout the event. All talents and personnel involved are fully vaccinated. Ladies and gentlemen, before we start today's event, let us hear the reading of the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أنفقوا مما رزقناكم من قبل أن يأتي يوم لا بيع فيه ولا خلة ولا شفاعة والكافرون هم الظالمون. صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah khairan katsir, Ustadz, for the scripture of the holy version that has been represented. To start today's event, we would like to invite World Zakat and Waqf Forum Secretary General. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Nur.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in ba'du. The host of this very important program, I cannot say name by name, but may Allah bless everybody who took this initiative Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. All of the participants, thanks God Allah the Almighty that we are meeting together in a very significant program, what we call as the public hearing, technical notes on Zakat core principle and Waqf core principles. I would like to back even close to 10 years ago when the UN Humanitarian Conference in Istanbul announced clearly that the UN accept the Zakat core principle, while the Waqf core principle is then followed a few years later. We would like really to thank you very much, and we owe it very much to anyone who had taken really a very unlimited efforts, which really influenced the world in the Zakat and also now Waqf movements globally. I cannot say one by names, but 1, 2, 3 of them. I hope that I'm not mistaken if I say it, like Dr. Dadang from Bank Indonesia and our another brother, Dr. Irfan Sokibek. Years is going on, and the content of that Zakat core principle have been improved. And now I can see that globally it is accepted. For sure, I will tell you, everybody who are participating in this program, that not less than World Zakat and Waqf Forum accepted this Zakat core principle and Waqf core principle. We are going to have an annual meeting and started with the inter-conference in which 2 programs we are also discussing about these Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. We would like really to strengthen the content of that Zakat core principle and Waqf core principles by discussing it really deeply. And we are going also to discuss the technical notes, which have been discussed quite some time, maybe 1, 2, or 3 months in the last few months this year. And we would like also to announce it to the world that this is the very important milestone of the Zakat and Waqf movement globally. By having this public hearing, may I then to discuss it again with all of you, especially with our brothers in Bank Indonesia, the governor, of the senior deputy governor and deputy governors, and also all directors and all officials of Bank Indonesia, of how grateful we are of the rule of Bank Indonesia in trying really to complete the message which is described in this Zakat core principle and Waqf core principle. World Zakat and Waqf Forum, as a global organizations, as a world organizations, with Zakat and Waqf organizations in not less than 40 countries, will also accept this Zakat core principle and Waqf core principle. We would like also to ask them to have this public hearing, if all of you accept it, and I'll bring this subject to our annual meeting in Leeds, United Kingdom, in the 30th of this month. What is very important for us to do, as I have in my mind, that for anybody, any institution, probably World Zakat and Waqf Forum, to invite Islamic development banks, of course, the first of all, is Bank Indonesia, and also Basnas, and also Badan Wakaf Indonesia, to not only discuss the points that we have composed it in such a manner, and then have completed this Zakat core principle, Waqf principle, but also, as I discussed it with Brother Dr. Irfan Sukibek, to try to have a specific body, a specific institution that we appoint together to be a very legal institution on behalf of these organizations, and then to take any necessary action, any necessary steps to develop more the Zakat core and Waqf principle, Waqf core principle, and then to enlarge it, and then to broaden it to the global area. It is really very important for the world to know that these two products are derived by and composed by the Indonesian Central Bank, and also Basnas, and also Badan Wakaf Indonesia, hand in hand with the Islamic development banks, the country where the Muslim population is the largest in the world. So it is fair enough then for me at this time to say again, thank you very much, our high appreciation to Bank Indonesia, who is not also really trying the best effort in improving this Zakat core principle and Waqf principle, but also, to the best of my knowledge, finance some activities related to the programs of this Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. One of the proof that we can say that we are now having is that this program, I believe, is sponsored also by Central Bank, Bank Indonesia. The public hearing on technical notes on Zakat core principle and Waqf core principles. In the last few days, in the last 2-3 weeks, we discussed it with Brother Dr. Irfan and Brother Dr. Hasbi, and all secretariat in World Zakat and Waqf Forum about the technical notes, and try really at our best effort to complete it. And now we can discuss it together. And we hope that all Muslims in Indonesia, as this program is really addressed to them as a public hearing, will then give the thought, the valuable thoughts and opinion, and will make it really possible for us to make it sure, to ensure that the Zakat core principle and Waqf core principle, I would like to say the best ever, and will be accepted all over the world. Thank you again for the host of this program, and for all participants, for all speakers, and thanks to the public, to any Muslim and Muslimah who would like to make comments and to make the technical notes really complete and could be implemented under the mercy of Allah SWT. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Nur. Ladies and gentlemen, for the next program is the opening speech from Zakat and Waqf Empowerment Ministry of Religious Affairs Republic of Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Tarmizi Tohor.
Baik, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana li hadza wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula hadallah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu nabiyyu ba'da. Allahumma shalli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala amma ba'd. Izinkan saya berbeda dengan Pak Prof. Janur Bahar. Beliau pakai bahasa Inggris, saya pakai bahasa kampung, bahasa Indonesia. Ya, pakai bahasa Inggris, Pak Prof, saya tak salah. Baik, yang saya hormati orang tua kami, tokoh kami, Pak Prof Janur Bahar Nur, selaku Sekretaris Umum Zakat Waqf Forum. Yang saya hormati Kepala Departemen Ekonomi dan Keuangan Syariah Bank Indonesia, Bapak Arif Hartawan. Yang kami hormati Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari sebagai Sekretaris Umum Organisasi AIQB Bahrain. Yang saya hormati Prof. Habib Ahmad dari University Durham Inggris. Yang saya hormati Pak Ernur Sonhabik selaku Sekretaris Buat Zakat Waqf Forum. Yang saya hormati Pak Dadang Mulyawan selaku Rektor Universitas Islam Indonesia Internasional UII. Yang kami hormati Pak Syarudin dari Universitas Darussalam Gontor. Yang saya hormati perwakilan dari Basnas, perwakilan dari Badan Wakaf Indonesia, dan para peserta dengan pendapat technical notes pada siang hari ini yang saya hormati. Alhamdulillah, syukur alhamdulillah yang telah melimpahkan rahmat, taufik, hidayahnya dan hidayahnya kepada umat manusia. Salam dan salam, tak lupa kita aturkan kita juga alam Nabi Muhammad SAW. Allahumma shalli ala sayyidina Muhammad wa sayyidina Muhammad. Sebagai penutup para Nabi sekaligus pemimpin terbaik di bumi ini, serta menyampaikan Quran sebagai pedoman dari Allah, supaya kita semua sentiasa selamat dunia akhirat dalam lindungannya. Baik, hadirin yang saya hormati, dana sosial keagama seperti zakat, infak, sedekah, dan wakaf, selain bentuk ibadah sosial keagamaan, juga merupakan salah satu instrumen ekonomi yang berpotensi besar terhadap kehidupan sosial, pengentasan kemiskinan, pemerataan pembangunan manusia, serta kebutuhan perbaikan kebutuhan ekonomi umat manusia di dunia ini. Kementerian Agama sebagai pengangku kebijakan dan memiliki kepentingan dalam mendorong optimalisasi sektor filantropi Islam, zakat, infak, sedekah, dan wakaf. Dalam hal ini terus berikhtiar membuat kebijakan dan melakukan program strategis untuk mendorong seluruh ekosistem zakat dan wakaf dapat berperan dan bersinergi dalam mewujudkan harapan tersebut. Kementerian Agama dalam hal ini memberikan apresiasi penuh atas tersekaranya dengan pendapat demi proses penyusunan technical notes dari prinsip pokok zakat dan wakaf, sehingga tujuan utama hadirnya prinsip pokok zakat dan wakaf yaitu menuju lembaga zakat dan wakaf yang proporsional, memiliki kredibilitas tinggi, kemudian akuntabilitas dan transparan, output semuanya adalah terjadi peningkatan partisipasi umat masyarakat dalam menunaikan zakat maupun wakaf. Hal ini selaras dengan rencana strategis pemerintah Republik Indonesia. Dalam aspek teknik, notice, aspek pengumpulan dan penyaluran diperlukan prinsip pokok yang dapat mendorong optimalisasi pengumpulan maupun penyaluran pendistribusian, khususnya penggunaan teknologi, sehingga seluruh proses ekosistem zakat dari pengumpulan dan penyaluran dapat dilakukan secara transparan, akuntabel, serta dapat dipantau oleh masyarakat muzaki dan mustahik. Begitu pula dalam hal aspek technical notes, PCP aspek nazir proporsional atau good nazir, kemudian diperlukan prinsip pokok yang dapat menjadi tolak ukur tersebut. Pentingnya standarisasi kompetensi Dewan Pengawas Syariah, pengendali risiko melalui audit internal lembaga nazir, sertifikasi kompetensi nazir, dan audit kepatuhan syariah dalam proses pengolahan wakaf zakat menjadi isu urgensi, sehingga aset wakaf yang sangat besar di Indonesia ini bisa menjadi hal yang bisa memperbaiki ekonomi umat yang ada di Indonesia ini. Besar harapan pengawasan dari regulasi zakat dan wakaf di Indonesia dapat sinergi dengan pengawasan dari zakat core principle dan standar baku yang harus diketahui dan diterapkan bagi lembaga zakat dan wakaf, sehingga dapat mendorong penyelenggaraan zakat dan wakaf yang efektif serta meningkatkan tata kelola, kapasitas lembaga, serta kepercayaan publik. Kementerian Agama secara umum mempunyai dua tugas penting, yaitu bagian pengawas, pembinaan, dan pengawasan. Karena persoalan zakat ini, wakaf ini, kalau negara tidak hadir di dalamnya, siapa yang akan mengontrol, siapa akan mengawas, siapa yang akan melakukan pembinaan. Makanya hadir negara dalam hal ini, dua kategori penting, yaitu dalam bentuk pembinaan dan dalam bentuk pengawasan. Sedangkan operasionalnya berada di lembaga zakat sendiri, berada di Nazir maupun pada Badan Wakaf Indonesia sendiri. Hadirin yang kami hormati, saya sangat berharap yang potensi zakat yang hari ini penelitian setahun hampir 333 triliun, yang baru terkumpul sekitar 15 triliun, maka barangkali perlu semua terkait dalam hal ini untuk bekerja sama dalam meningkatkan pengumpulan zakat yang ada di Indonesia ini. Belum lagi tanah wakaf yang 56 ribu hektar, itu khusus tanah, yang tadi 400 ribu lokasi, yang hanya 9% baru bergerak di bidang pemberdayaan ekonomi. Untunglah ada makam, ada masjid, musola, lembaga pendidikan. Sementara bergerak di bidang pemberdayaan ekonomi baru ada sekitar 9%. Makanya kami Kementerian Agama membuat beberapa program, apakah itu namanya zakat produktif maupun inkubasi wakaf produktif, agar bisa mendorong pemberdayaan ekonomi umat Islam dengan kekuatan keuangan syariah yang ada di Indonesia ini lagi. Belum lagi wakaf uang ada 180 triliun potensinya di Indonesia ini. Ditambah lagi dengan aset wakaf bergerak itu. Maka perlu sekali dorongan kepada kita semua. Semoga dari rangkaian kegiatan ini, para lembaga zakat dan wakaf diharapkan terus meningkatkan profesionalitas, karena kami sudah membuat standar amil dan standar nazir atas standar kompetensi yang selama ini kalau tanya orang apa standar nazir, sulit saya menjawabnya. Apa standar amil, sulit menjawab. Alhamdulillah sekarang sudah ada standar kompetensi nazir, standar kompetensi amil itu sudah ada sekarang. Tinggal lagi kita melatih para mereka dan mengembangkan mereka kaitan dengan standar kompetensi ini. Besar harapan ini kami, kegiatan kemitraan secara internasional ini bisa berlangsung berkelanjutan pada tahun-tahun berikutnya. Semoga seluruh panitia, Award Zakat dan Wakaf Forum, Bank Indonesia, Basnas BWI, Amil Nazir, dan seluruh yang mendukung rangkaian kegiatan ini dapat menjadi amal ibadah, amal kebaikan, dan semoga Allah selalu senantiasa meridhoi kita semua. Demikian yang dapat saya sampaikan. Terima kasih kepada teman Basnas, BWI, Nazir yang kerja ini secara tidak langsung telah membantu kami di Kementerian Agama, dalam mengembangkan dua aset besar yang ada di negara kita ini. Terima kasih, mudah-mudahan ada manfaatnya. Saya mohon berpantun, ya, enak sungguh buah coklat. Coklat didapat dari sahabat. Kalau tuan dan puan menunaikan zakat, insya Allah selamat dunia akhirat. Patah ranting berderap-derap, pohon jati dibelah-belah. Kalau tuan dan puan berwakaf, insya Allah harta benda penuh barokah. Sudah lama tak pulang ke rumah, sampai ke rumah badan terjatuh. Mohon maaf silap dan salah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Tarmizi Tohor. Ladies and gentlemen, next is the opening speech from Head of Sharia Economic and Finance Department of Bank Indonesia to deliver speech. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Arif Hartawan.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wa bihi nasta'inu umurid dunya waddin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajmain amma ba'du. Honorable Professor Zainul Bahar Nur, Secretary General of World Waqf, Zakat and Waqf Forum, Profesor Kamarudin Amin, Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari, Profesor Dr. Habib Ahmed, Pak Dadang Mulyawan, kawan kami dari Bank Indonesia, sahabat saya, Mas Muhammad Arifin Purwakananta dari Basnas, Dr. Irfan Syauqi Beg dari BWI, all prominent speakers and all participants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, let us praise and give thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala for His blessing and mercy. We can gather in this program in good health, and may peace and blessing always be upon our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who has brought us out of the dark ages into the light. It is an honor for me to deliver a welcoming speech at this very important event. I would like to thank the World Zakat and Waqf Forum for collaboration and provision of excellent support, Pak Zainul Bahar, to the success of this event as part of what we call Road to 9 Indonesia Sharia Economic Festival, ISEF 2022, which will be open early next month, 5 to 9 October 2022. From central bank perspective, Islamic economic priorities, the balance, togetherness, fairness, and welfare to increase productivity, income equality, and real sector development. It is contrary to the mainstream system. The Islamic financial system not only does concern the commercial side, but also focuses on the social aspect to achieve the ultimate objective of Islamic finance, namely falah, well-being in this world and hereafter. Islamic economy encourages utilization of the social finance, including zakat, infak, and waqaf. Islamic social finance function to distribute resource to empower Muslim, alleviate poverty, and reduce income inequality, and improve, the most important is improving the people welfare. As mentioned by Pak Tarmizi Tohor, that Indonesia, according to the estimate zakat potential, is very huge in the number. And this potential is, if it is optimally optimally utilized, may contribute significantly to poverty alleviation and community empowerment. And on the other hand, Indonesia has enormous wakaf asset and cash wakaf, also mentioned by Pak Tarmizi. If it is managed effectively, the productive wakaf will increase efficiency and support economic development of the nation. This is also become the concern of the central bank. That's why Bank Indonesia, central bank is very concerned on this issue, Pak Zainul Bahar. That's why we are together, how we can, develop this economic, Islamic, and finance in Indonesia. Bank Indonesia actively participate in supporting the development of Islamic economic and finance. And the blueprint is already socialized, and we commit on that blueprint together with our colleague from ministries and institutions that we call it Komite Nasional Ekonomi Keuangan Syariah. And then we believe, Pak and Ibu, that we can be achieve as an important global halal producer in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this public hearing aims to discuss the current development of technical notes with the experts. Those technical notes on collection management and disbursement management in Zakat core principles, and also good Nazir governance in Waqf core principle have been thoroughly discussed and reviewed by working group members based on their experience in implementing Zakat and Waqf operators. We hope that these technical notes can improve public confidence and trust on Zakat and Waqf institutions so that Islamic social finance can further flourish in the future. We also hope that this event will benefit the development of Zakat and Waqf, particularly facing the new normal era, trigger innovation and idea for betterment of global Zakat and Waqf in the future. I believe with strong collaboration among stakeholders is beneficial to sustain the development of Zakat and Waqf as two of the main sources of Islamic economic and finance supporting economic recovery. Finally, please allow me to express my sincere appreciation to World Zakat and Waqf Forum as our strategic partner, all organizing committee and parties for arranging this important and useful event. My appreciation and sincere gratitude also to distinguished speakers for their willingness to share their expertise and knowledge for the betterment of Islamic social finance industry. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Almighty bestow us the strength and patience to preserve in fulfilling our duty for a better future. Thank you very much, and I wish you all very successful and fruitful deliberation in today's event. Warm regard from Tamrin, Jakarta. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Arif Hartawan. Next, we may have the honor to call upon Secretary General of Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions to deliver the keynote speech. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Respectable Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Noor, Secretary General of World Zakat and Waqf Forum, Mr. Arif Hartawan from the Bank Indonesia, Professor Dr. Phil H. Kamruddin Amin, Director General for Guidance of the Islamic Community, Ministry of Religion, my respectable, our teacher, Dr. Habib Ahmed, and I can see a lot of very senior professionals and the very senior people from the academia. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First, I would like to thank Bank Indonesia, Indonesia Waqf Board, World Zakat and Waqf Forum, and all other parties involved in this great initiative for inviting AOFI and me in particular to be a part of this very important discussion on a very important topic. And to be honest, I feel honored to be here among these very senior and very learned professionals and experts. And I hope that together these activities will take these discussions and this work on these very important aspects of social finance forward in a meaningful way. And we hope and we pray that these academic efforts, these professional efforts, these regulatory efforts, they actually transform into a reality for the benefit of the Muslim Ummah, particularly in Indonesia, but in all other Muslim countries. And we believe that the initiatives of the Indonesian authorities in this respect are something which all our Muslim communities, whether the governments or at the non-government level, we all need to learn from this. And we believe that you are doing a fard kifaya. Yes, AOFI is also doing to do its part on these areas, and I'd like to touch upon that. But I believe at the government intervention level, it is very important, government and central bank level, that these initiatives are supported, initiated, patronized, and we believe that it is something great at your end. I would like to quickly touch upon something. Islamic economic system that we talk about is actually not about only the commercial transaction. It is a very, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made a very comprehensive system for the mankind. It's up to the mankind as to how much they are willing to understand and practice that. And from that perspective, when we see the Islamic economic system, it has so many beautiful aspects, so many beautiful areas which are for the benefit, for the collective benefit of the human society. And I believe, and I firmly believe that Zakat and Waqf, along with other social finance elements like Sadaqat and other ibadat which are on monetary basis, these all together, along with the Islamic principles of trade, along with the Islamic principles on the financial transaction, along with Islamic principles on prohibitions of impermissible things, all these things together create a society that is in the benefit of maximum people, not only for Muslims, but it is something to learn for the whole human society. So from that perspective, I believe that this is very important that we give enough coverage to the social finance elements as we are giving to the commercial finance elements. And while I'm not undermining the need for the commercial finance elements, but I would like to say one thing, that commercial finance elements at times are taken over by the commercial mindset. They are at times taken over by the capitalist mindset. They are at times taken over by the actually by the same players who are actually dominating the conventional financial world. They just at times use Islamic finance as a means to achieve their objectives. Yes, Islamic finance itself is very important to be practiced and to be implemented and to be supported. But at the same time, at times it fails towards achieving the greater objectives of Islamic Sharia. The maqasid of Sharia and objectives of Sharia are not something that can be ignored. And again, while I believe that Islamic finance has to play its role in that aspect, but at the same time, the governments and the societies at large have to play their role. And for that role, it is very important that we keep our focus on the tools of Islamic social finance in a good way. And for that purpose, there are a lot of examples that we get from our glorious past as the Muslim Ummah in different parts of Muslim world. Zakat and Al-Awqaf have been playing a great role in the creating a social and economic justice and equitable system within the Islamic society. And this is something that we need to build upon again. This is something that is coming from our glorious past that we need to pick up, we need to polish it, we need to revive it, we need to implement it, and then we need to showcase it to the outside world, to those who do not believe in us, in Islam. We need to even show to them that this is the beauty of our economic system. And from that perspective, I believe all these initiatives are so much important, and individual institutions as well as bodies like AOFI have to work on that. Now, for now, I'd like to touch upon some of the important technical aspects that I believe are important from the perspective of good governance for Awqaf and good Nazir governance. First thing is that what if we try to identify why a lot of Awqaf failed to deliver, there were mainly one issue. We can say that, okay, Nazir performance was not good. But why Nazir performance was not good? The problem was that the concept of value addition and the impact assessment and the performance assessment was missing. This is something, obviously, accountability has to be there, responsibility part has to be there. But the point is that a lot of people among us, at times we give sadaqah to somebody coming to us on a road. We give sadaqah, the sadaqah itself is important, but what impact that sadaqah is creating as compared to a sadaqah which is given in a collective manner, in an organized manner, in an appropriate way, that overall the impact of that sadaqah at an individual and collective level is utilized at the maximum. The same applies to Awqaf, that the concept of value addition, the concept of impact investment, that is something that we need to understand, and we need to realize that it's not enough to form a waqf. Forming a waqf and giving sadaqah and giving zakah are like, ibadat that bring you closer to Allah Almighty. But the objective that needs to be achieved in the worldly life is missed out if we do not assess the real value addition, the real impact assessment. We do not perform the process, we do not perform a performance assessment, etc., for the Nazir and all these objectives. And from these perspectives, and I believe it's a big failure. Not only this, I would like to say that there is another tendency that we are having so many of the Awqaf, we are having NGOs, we are having zakah institutions, but they are not having a uniform collective effort. And this is something very important at the part of the governments and the regulators and think tanks, that they create the strategies in which different NGOs, different zakat collecting institutions, different Awqaf are assigned and allocated with relevant areas in a collective manner, that the overall strategy of improvement in the society are achieved. So these are some very important aspects. I've seen the document, and I highly praise the quality of the document on technical note on the Waqf, good Nazir governance and the core principles of Awqaf. One point I would like to touch upon, I compared the document with AOFI's governance standard. I would like to touch upon that recently AOFI itself has completed a series of standards on zakah, on Awqaf. And on zakah, we are working. On Awqaf, we completed our revised Sharia standard, a new governance standard, and a new financial accounting standard. And we believe that all these were as an integrated effort to achieve the same objectives that we are talking about in form of your very, very, very notable, very well-developed technical note. However, I would like to touch upon some of the differences that need to be considered from the technical standpoint. The first thing, we believe that for Awqaf and zakah institution, the first core principle of governance should be Sharia compliance. I'm not saying that it is ignored completely, but it should be the first core principle, because we have seen a lot of Waqaf getting failed because they were actually not following the Sharia principles as well. This is something important. This is important for the investments of Waqaf. This is important for the management of Waqaf. This is important for having a good Sharia governance system. And you need to have a dual layer system, a corporate governance system and a Sharia governance system integrated in a manner that you have a very good governance system for Waqaf. And from that perspective, I believe that this is something very important. Similarly, the accounting part for Waqaf is equally important, which is fundamental for ensuring good performance assessment for Nazir, and in order to ensure as to how in what manner the value is created and into what manner the value has been invested to create the impact that was needed. One more thing, that the idea of having the rating for good governance is an excellent idea. But I believe that the technical note and the guiding principles are not as detailed as would enable a good rating exercise to be done. I believe that for these sort of standards setting and regulation setting, the greater idea is to keep the core principles initially and then to expand them to a reasonable extent to the rules as well. One of our governance board members every time says, and I quote, he says that good principles are like sermons. Nobody adheres to them. Nobody follows them. It is actually the rules that you determine in line with those principles that actually made the things black and white. Okay, you need to do this and you don't need to do this. Creating the broad core principles and leaving so much flexibility for the implementers might at times not be the great idea. With regard to the integrity part, I believe it is very important that a code of ethics is annexed to the standards. AOFI has developed a very good code of ethics for Islamic finance professionals, and our other standards are integrated with this code, means they are creating a reference to this code. And we believe that the code of ethics for Islamic finance professionals that is developed by AOFI is good enough to be exercised in any field, particularly any field related to Islamic economic system. And we highly recommend the technical team to have a look at it and try considering integrating the same. With regard to the last point that I would like to say, because right now we can see here the regulators are also represented, the government authorities are also represented. We believe that the most important part here is the regulatory supervision. In Muslim countries, we have seen two different approaches. At times, the government authorities even take over Waqaf and the management even gets worse. And at times, the government departments sleep and nobody is taking care of what is happening in the Waqaf and Zakat related sector. So we believe that a balanced approach at the regulatory and the government level is the key to having a good Waqf and Zakat sector in the society, because neither you can take control of everything and you can try to run everything by yourself. It will for sure be a failure. But at the same time, if you sleep and you do not have a good regulatory and supervision mechanism for these Waqaf, this will be very difficult, particularly because these are the public interest institutions. Their benefit is to be passed on to public. So it is very important to have a robust regulatory regime in line with the global standards. And we believe that this is something that needs to be done. With that, I believe that I have taken a lot of your time, and I know we have to go through a long discussion for this one. I hope and I pray for the success of today's event and the upcoming conference and all the initiatives by the organizers. May Allah bless them. And I would like to offer all support from AOFI with regard to the technical work as well as with regard to working together for the upcoming areas of standard setting at AOFI's end or at your end. We are willing to work together, and we hope that as Muslim Ummah, we can work together to find out the single set of standards in these areas. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we would like to invite Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari, Mr. Arif Hartawan, Mr. Tarmizi Tohor, Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Nur, all speakers and participants to please open your cameras and join the virtual group photo. And we'll be taking the pictures 2 times. Okay, please get ready. Okay, everyone, please give your best smile on my count. For the first photo, in 3, 2, 1. Last photo, in 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much. So now let's begin for the first session. We will listen to the presentation of the technical notes on Zakat core principles with the theme of management of Waqf collection and distribution. And to moderate this session, we would like to invite Director of International Center for Awqaf Studies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Shahruddin, MSc.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, all participants, all speakers, expert reviewers, and our respectable from Bank Indonesia, as well as from Basnas, Prof. Zainul Bahar Nur, and from the Ministry of Religion Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Tarmizi Tohor. Firstly, I would like to thank to Bank Indonesia and all this committee Road to ISEF, Indonesian Sharia Economic Festival 2022, to have this valuable agenda on public hearing, technical notes on Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles will be delivered with 2 our distinguished speaker. First, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal, and the second, Dr. Irfan Shauki Beg. And for the first, we would like to invite the head of World Zakat and Waqf Forum, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our first speaker for a head 30 minutes, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal.
Ya, tayyib. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. The Honorable Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Nur, the World Zakat and Waqf Forum Secretary General, the Honorable Dr. Arif Hartawan, Head of the Sharia Economic and Finance Department of Bank Indonesia, and the Honorable Bapak Kiai Tarmizi Tohor, the Director of Zakat and Waqf in the Ministry of Islamic Religion Affairs, and the Honorable the distinguished guest, Mr. Omar Mustafa Ansari, Secretary General of Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institution, or IOFI. The speakers, distinguished speakers, Dr. Irfan Shauki Beg, the Secretary of the World Zakat and Waqf Forum. Also here, experts, reviewers. We are here, Professor Habib Ahmed, as the Sharia Chair in Islamic Law and Finance, Durham University, and Bapak Dr. Dadang Mulyawan, Vice Rector of Triple IU Indonesia, and also Dr. Elnur Salihovic, thank you, as the Deputy Secretary General of Zakat Forum, and Mr. Shahruddin, yeah, mashallah, our moderator here, thank you for the Mr. Shahruddin that has been moderate to this discussion. First of all, let's thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala because of His blessing. Of course, we can meet together here in this place, even virtual, I think. And salawat and salam, never forget, we have to deliver for our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And before we start my presentation today, let's reciting basmalah for the good draft that I will show and I will explain inshallah soon. So in this session, my topic is about the draft of technical notes that have been drafting by us, within 2 or 3 months ago. The committee or maybe from me that share the material. Okay. Yes. Okay. We have 2 drafts of technical notes. That is on the zakat collection management for zakat institution and technical notes on zakat zakat disbursement management for zakat institution. Okay, maybe we have 2 minutes for we look together about this draft. Maybe first one I will read and explain of the technical notes on zakat collection management for zakat institution. Inshallah, I will read one by one, I think, in each page of this draft. Next, maybe in the next draft. Okay, next. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, go to the next. Next. Okay, next. Table content. Okay. We have 3 table content: introduction, zakat collection management, and the urgency of collection management. Okay, first in the introduction, maybe if there are comment here, maybe there are suggestion, comment, or so on. Please to put in the chat box here, Zoom, or maybe committee. Let's put the link maybe for the suggestion from audience here. Okay, next. As we all know, the International Working Group on Zakat Core Principle to guide Zakat towards an effective and efficient Zakat operation, and that is a published and consultative document for Zakat Core Principle. Then that has been mentioned by Sekjen, by the Secretary General, officially launched on May 33 until 34. 2016 during the UN Humanitarian Summit in Istanbul, Turkey. Okay, maybe I directly go to the point background. Okay, next, please. Next slide. General principle. That's the first issue on the collection. Firstly, we quote from the Al-Qardawi, in the book of Fiqh Zakat. Zakat is one of the 5 pillars of Islam. Is the determined share of wealth, the good, and so on. Okay, this is first issue, and the point 6 of the introduction. Here in the technical note on the collection zakat management, we have defined in planning, implementation, controlling, and reporting activities in collecting, distributing, and as well utilizing zakat funds. Okay, next to the point 7, because the time is limited. Yes, here in the technical notes of the collection, we have included how many A until K. The first issue is the relevant regulation for zakat institution, especially in the collection issues. And 2 in B, nisab determining authority and zakatable assets. And the point C, the exemption limit of wealth, nisab for zakat. And the point D, policy on types of zakatable assets. And point E, classification of zakatable asset. And point F, period of zakat collection. And point G, mitigation of abuse of zakat collection. And H, contemporary zakat. And I, zakat socialization and education. And J, bill right of muzaki, yeah. And the last one is number K, is reporting. Okay, maybe next to the main objective. Yeah, point 9. Yeah, this technical notes aims to ensure zakat institution comply with the principle of good zakat collection management in zakat management. It is to ensure that zakat institution must be comply with the principle. And the point 10, it also aims to achieve the main objective of zakat collection for people prosperity and poverty alleviation. Yeah, zakat collection, this for people prosperity and poverty alleviation. If the suggestion, please note to the chat box here in Zoom. Okay, in point 11, I think, scope and of application. This standard applies to all zakat institutions across the countries, of course, independent and part of other organization. And point 12, next maybe. In its application, these technical notes can be understood together with existing rules such as laws, and also detailed notes can complement aspects of nation and international regulation. Okay, and we move to the bab, to the sub B, zakat collection management. What the definition? We define in the point 13, zakat institution has the function of zakat management, which consists of planning, implementation, controlling, and reporting that was mentioned before. Okay, maybe I think wrong numbering from the committee, maybe this is 14, I think. Okay, in the 14, the collection of zakat, which are administered and recorded in the respective books. Yeah, inshallah, this is still draft. I will improve after this. Okay, the dimension of zakat collection management consists of, in the point 14 here, zakat core principle number 9 recommends 7 essential criteria and 2 additional criteria for collection management practices as presented in this document in table 1. Please go to table 1. Yes, this is table 1. The dimension and indicators of zakat collection management block. We have how many row or how many blocks here? Sorry. Wait. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we have 11. Yeah, we have 11 dimension, and the indicators. First one, in the dimension of relevant regulation or fatwa for zakat institution. Here, the dimension explain about the zakat law or related regulation or fatwa must specific the institution that will charge and collect zakat. Will charge and collect zakat. The zakat law must be the one thing before the institution go to collect zakat. Indicators here, there are 3 types of countries based on the zakat management system, namely comprehensive, partial, and secular. What the comprehensive? Comprehensive is model refers to a country that has imposed formal regulation on zakat and zakat has become mandatory in nature. For example, Saudi Arabia maybe, and also Sudan, or maybe Pakistan, I think. And the second one, in partial model, refers to a country that has imposed formal regulation on zakat, but zakat has been only voluntary in nature. For example, I think Malaysia maybe. Yes, Malaysia or Indonesia, I think. Qatar, maybe Kuwait, mostly of the member of the Zakat Forum that is in the partial model until now. And the third one in secular model refers to a country with no formal regulation, on zakat, and there is no also government's intervention in zakat management. I think this is in maybe in the Europe countries and the American countries, I think. The point two of indicators, in comprehensive and partial model, there needs to be a regulation that stipulated the institution assigned as zakat manager. In the comprehensive and partial model, also the structure, position, of zakat institution in the order or state institution also need to be explained in the regulation or fatwa. Also, in the comprehensive and partial model, the requirement that these authorities and organization structures of the zakat institution also need to be clearly stated in the zakat law and or related regulation or fatwa. Okay, next. They need to exist in a specific zakat collection function in the organization structure of zakat institution. And number 6, in the comprehensive and partial model, the regulation are regulated in the law and or memorandum of association or fatwa or other legal instrument related to zakat. Okay, number 7, zakat institution must be formally appointed by the government or by respective authority related to Islamic affairs. And the indicators of the law that have been document based to collect zakat. Specifically for the secular model. In the point 8 here, in the secular model, fatwa that appoint or enable certain organization to collect zakat in a certain country or territory can be issued only by the respective Islamic or ulama council and Majlis Ulama responsible for Islamic affairs in that country. Fatwas from individual Islamic scholars or Islamic scholars independent organization cannot be considered as relevant for this topic. That we have the fatwa must be from the Islamic perspective or ulama council in the country. Here, number 9 is very important, I think. Non-Muslim, non-Muslim organization and organization with non-Muslim leadership, such as international organization and humanitarian organization that operates in partial and secular model, are not eligible to collect zakat and cannot operate as zakat collection agencies. Main reason for this is the inability to secure appropriate legal and Sharia foundation and internal Sharia supervision and structure for proper collection and distribution of zakat. It's very important, I think. Okay, we move to the dimension 2. About the list. Yes.
Pardon, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal.
Yes.
Yeah, because you have a second technical notes to deliver. I think this is the first, so you
okay.
Maybe you can summarize your
waktu time is limited.
Thank you.
Okay. I just maybe from the committee have been shared this document. Okay. Please, for the all audience here, maybe for the participant here to read the document, and maybe you have the comment or suggestion, and you can put in the chat box here, or you can fill in the Google form, Google form that has been put from the committee to the chat box here. Okay, we move. I just read the dimension 2 about the nisab determining authority and zakat asset, and that was here the indicators. Okay, we move to the dimension 3, please. Okay, dimension 3. The document explain about the exemption of limit of wealth or nisab of zakat. here that the indicators. Okay, we move to the dimension 4, please. Yeah, dimension 4, they here consists of the policy on types of zakatable asset, and here that have been put the indicators, yeah. Zakat fitrah and zakat mal, and what the zakat mal here. Okay, move to the next dimension, dimension 5, I think. Yes, the dimension 5 about the classification of zakatable asset. Yeah, that the explanation and also the indicators. And the dimension 6 about the period of zakat collection. Yeah, the period of zakat collection. When the zakat to collect here, maybe in Ramadan and Idul Fitri and so on. Yeah, maybe if you have suggestion, please to put in the comment. Okay, next to the next dimension. Yeah, here dimension 7, we have the issue about the mitigation. Yeah, it's very important also, I think, of abuse of zakat collection. Yeah, about the risk management, what must be exist in the zakat collection management for the mitigate of the abuse of zakat collection. Okay, next in the dimension 8, yeah, about the contemporary zakat issues. Yeah, of course we have facing the new era about the maybe livestock, about the maybe so on, I think, yeah, metaverse maybe, and and others. Okay, the dimension 9, yeah, about the zakat solution education, about the zakat literation, yeah, how we get the high score of literation of zakat education and solution and literation for this, yeah. Okay, the next to the dimension 10, bill right of muzaki. Yeah, here right of muzaki, because in the ayah wa salli alaihim inna salataka sakrun lahum. So we have the right of muzaki that have been put here. Okay, the 11, yeah, the dimension 11 about reporting is very important. So yeah, because zakat institution should publish their financial report, which include the zakat collection on a regular basis to ensure the transparency and accountability of this nation. Okay, this is about the draft of the technical notes of zakat collection. Yeah, if you have suggestion, comment, and others, please put in the chat book, Zoom chat book here, and or via Google form. Okay, let's move to the other technical notes. Yeah, committee to the other technical notes. Yeah, before to the distribution. Okay, it's enough, I think. Yeah, in the collection. Please go to the next document, because we have to document. Yeah. Yeah. Please go to the next document about the distribution, yeah, and utilization. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think this is second document about also this is still draft, yeah, that have been completed after this about the technical notes on zakat disbursement management for zakat institution. Okay, next maybe we. Okay, next, yeah, in the table content, table content, please. Okay. Yeah, enough. In page, we have page here. Yeah, we have no page here. Okay, okay. General, yeah, in the general principle. number 6. Number 7. Okay. These technical notes that will discuss the essential factors which ensure the disbursement of zakat fund, which are stated in the following issues. E until N or O. N, until N. Okay, the first one is OP. Okay. Okay, the first one A. What the the first one is laws and regulation on zakat fund management is very important. And also here there are the asnaf determination guidelines, maybe also by the definition of asnaf. And number C, financial management in the disbursement of funds. And number D, criteria and guidelines of zakat recipients or mustahik or beneficiaries, in some definition. And number E, zakat disbursement programs. And number F, proportion determination for disbursement programs. Number G, disbursement period of collected zakat fund. And number H, allocation of zakat funds. Number I, zakat institution disbursement assessment. Is very important. Disbursement assessment that have to exist from the zakat supervisor in the specific country. In number J, zakat fund allocation on an international level, maybe cross-border, from Malaysia to dispute zakat in Bangladesh, and maybe from Bangladesh to Malaysia, and from Indonesia to the other countries, maybe. And number K, assessment towards the social impact of zakat funds by the zakat supervisor. And number L, ASNA priority. It's very important also. ASNA priority guidelines on the zakat disbursement process. And number M, equity, justice, and territorial proximity principles is very important, I think, for the equity and justice in zakat disbursement. And number N, regulations from the zakat supervisor for misconduct or fraud, on disbursement of zakat funds. Number O, specific regulation guidelines regarding the limitation of zakat distribution for certain groups. Next. Number P, the last one of the content of the this technical notes, about the zakat disbursement procedure regulation, inclusion in the zakat institution deed of establishment. Okay, please next to the table, maybe.
Dr. Hasbi, it's nice to hear your presentation. I inform you 5 minutes left to your presentation.
Okay, 5 minutes. Maybe here, I just to mention the dimension, of the technical notes, that the objective of the document is to improve. So perhaps we have so many maybe suggestion and comment and so on from the audience, from the participants, and from the experts, reviewers here, to improve this document before we discuss, before we bring this document to the international conference in Leeds, London, 28 September until 30 September this month. Okay, this is the dimensions about the technical notes. Maybe we cannot read all of the document. Please read and give please give the comment or suggestion. The first one is relevant regulation or fatwa for zakat institution on zakat fund management. We should have about the Sharia laws, regulation, fatwa on the zakat provision board requires zakat institution to formulate policies and processing for identifying and managing zakat fund. Okay, next. this is about zakat asnaf determining guidelines here that must be defined of what the fakir, what is the fuqara, what the masakin, what the amil, gharimin, sabilillah, ibnu sabil, and so on. That maybe we must maybe we must have to redefine, yeah, because the situation and the problem that we have faced. Okay, next. Yeah, here about the financial management in the disbursement of fund. Yeah, have existing and updating guidelines of the planning, recording, and management of fund which are reported routine. Yeah, about the financial management, I think. And criteria. Yes, this is criteria of guideline of zakat recipient, what the criteria of miskin and fuqara and so on. Yeah, that we must have about the criteria of guideline of the mustahik. And the next is the zakat disbursement program. Yeah, we have consumption based and productive based. Yeah, pendistribusian dan pendayagunaan. Yeah, consumption based and productive based. Okay, next, I think go forward to the, yeah, this is consumption based and productive based. Okay, and the next one is proportion determination for disbursement program. Yeah, how many, the proportion for the masakin or the fuqara, or the same 1/8, or yeah, how we can yeah, we can give the proportion each of the mustahik. Okay, number 7, distribution period of collection fund. Yeah, here we mentioned about the period of the zakat collection fund. After we collect the zakat, how many maybe month or yeah, day, month, yeah, we should the all of the fund that must be dispersed. Yeah, okay. Next, maybe in the next dimension. Okay. Yeah, this is allocation of zakat fund. Allocation zakat fund. Yeah, we have education, dakwah, economy, social, health, and other. Yeah, please comment. Maybe, yeah, after this. Okay, next in the point 9, zakat institution disbursement assessment. Yeah, this is very important because about the ratio. Yeah, allocation to collection ratio. How the ratio between collection per distribution. This is we call it by ECR, allocation to collection ratio. Yeah, we have put here scale 1, scale 2, scale 3, scale 4, scale 5. Maybe you have suggestion, please comment to the chat book or in the Google form. Okay, next, number 10, zakat fund allocation on an international level. Yes, we have mentioned before that maybe cross-border, yeah, cross-border about the between the countries, maybe, yeah, from Malaysia and Bangladesh, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Bangladesh, and so on. Okay, 11, assessment towards the social impact of zakat fund by the zakat supervisor. Yeah, I think this is also very important. The assessment instrument. Yeah, we need the assessment instrument in each country, how to measure the impact of zakat fund. Yeah, in each country, especially in the countries member of World Zakat and Waqf Forum. Okay, we have put here the indicators. Please read and comment and give the comment from. Okay, next,
Dr.
number 11.
Yeah.
Time limited, yeah.
One more minute, inshallah.
Okay, it's last, yeah. Okay, I think this is last. Okay, number 11, yeah, 12, I think, yeah. ASNA priority guidelines on zakat distribution process. Yeah, here we put the indicators, the existence of guidelines. The guideline must include fuqara. The guidelines should be in accordance and agreed upon with FAFA and so on. Okay, 13, yeah, about equity, justice, and territorial proximity in zakat distribution. Yeah, we also here is very, very important. Yeah, so we have a look of the before we distribute of zakat, we must look before about equity, justice, and so on. Okay, next, 14. 14. Yes, yes. Regulation or fatwa from zakat purposes for misconduct, fraud on this work of zakat fund. Also, we need this regulation to mitigate of fraud on zakat fund. Yeah, 15 specific regulation guidelines regarding the limitation of zakat distribution for certain groups. Yeah, I think also a procedure of zakat collection SOP before processing large amount of any social Islamic fund. Yeah, yeah, reporting also to save the prudential principle within the distribution process. 16, the distribution procedure, regulation inclusion in zakat institution deed of establishment. Okay, next, I think, yeah, the two additional criteria for me, yeah, evaluation of distribution information. Yeah, we have also maybe the fatwa in year 2020, in year 20, maybe 2015, 15 or 2014 that have not reliable, yeah, have not reliable in this year. So maybe that can be refused again of the fatwa. So then the zakat can be implemented in cross of the time. Yeah, this about the evaluation of the fatwa, maybe, or regulation, maybe, or keputusan, peraturan, and so on. Okay, next, 18. Need priority assessment for this person program. Yeah, here also we need the priority assessment. Yeah, yeah, the every zakat institution must have maybe assessment for the distribution, priority assessment for the distribution program. Yeah, which the priority? Yeah, yeah. Okay. 19, the zakat distribution develop a timeline of, yeah. Also, we need of the period, yeah, timeline. How the program is, the goal is how to alleviate poverty and transform mustahik, inshallah, to become muzaki, yeah. At least to become munfik lah. At least to become munfik, yeah. Alhamdulillah, to become muzaki. So the indicators here, we put here. And the lastly is reporting. Yeah, this reporting is very, very important. So zakat institution should publish the financial report, especially in the activity of the zakat disbursement and utilization on a regular basis to ensure the transparency and accountability of the institution. That's for me, Mr. Moderator. I'm sorry for the.
Yeah. I personally really enjoy your humble presentation, Dr. Muhammad Hasbi Zainal, as the head of World Zakat and Waqf Forum Research and Development Unit, for your technical note on collection and disbursement of zakat for zakat institutions. Thank you again for your nice presentation. And we would like to invite Dr. Irfan Shaukibek as appointed Executive Secretary, World Zakat and Waqf Forum, which will present on technical notes Waqf principles in the good Nazir governance. Please welcome Dr. Irfan Shaukibek.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Shahruddin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good afternoon in Jakarta, good morning and good noon in other parts of the world. So, first of all, I would like to express my gratefulness to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Because of His mercy, we can gather here. And in this very good moment, I would like to share with you about the technical notes on good Nazir governance, which has become one of the main issues in the Waqf world that requires, improvement in terms of management quality. And one way to improve the quality of Waqf management is through proper good Nazir governance. And the term Nazir governance has been chosen instead of corporate governance, because Nazir and corporate, of course, they have different philosophical foundation and also different, characteristics, so that we name it as a good Nazir governance. And I would like to request my colleague from the host to share my presentation slide. But before that, I would like to I would like to say good afternoon to the Honorable Professor Dr. Zainul Bahar Nur, the Secretary General of the World Zakat and Waqf Forum, and also to all deputies, Secretary General of the World Zakat and Waqf Forum, the Honorable Dr. Arif Hartawan, Head of Bank Indonesia Sharia Economic and Finance Department, and also other distinguished participants. Please, host, to share my slide, or otherwise, okay, thank you. Yeah, so let's move to the next slide. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, this is the international working group members. Yeah, so you can see some of dedicated persons to become the member of this working group. Next slide, please. Yes, so what we have in our technical notes, actually we have 5 parts in the technical notes document. The first one is on introduction. In this part, there are some elaborations on the background, on the general principles, main objective, scope of application, and methodology of technical notes. So this is under the first section. The second one is on the Good Nazir governance itself, which consists of a definition and dimensions and indicators of Good Nazir governance. And the third part is on the Good Nazir governance framework. And the fourth section discusses about the validation and ratification, because it's very important for us to ratify this document, especially for the members, member countries of the World Zakat and Waqf Forum. And the last one is on the references. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so what is technical note? Yeah, technical note basically is a short article that gives us a brief description, on a specific issue, And in this regard, the technical notes is the one that is used to translate, the Waqf Core Principles document, because Waqf Core Principles document is basically a general document that contains the principles that need to be in existence in order to have a sound Waqf management system. And of course, we have 29 core principles that require to be, translated into the operational side, so that these principles can be implemented properly. And that's why we need a technical note document that will try to discuss each core principle, and so that this become the guidance, especially for the Waqf organizations and Waqf authorities in creating sound Waqf management system. And of course, one of the most important aspects of Waqf management is a good Nazir governance. Next slide. And, in this good Nazir governance, we refer to the core principles number 13. Why it is very important? Because according to our internal discussion, that the presence of Nazir governance should be prioritized after the risk management discussion. So we already have the risk management technical notes, and now we have the Good Nazir governance. And as already mentioned also and highlighted by Mr. Omar Ansari, the Secretary General of IOF, that of course this document should be based on the value of Islam, Islamic value, the Maqasid Sharia. So that's why the Good Nazir governance should reflect Maqasid Sharia values, including Sharia compliant aspects such as God-fearingness, degrees of taqwa, and amanah or trustworthy. Next slide, please. And as summary, actually, good governance must comprise 5 core elements. This is something which is known, in the good governance study, that a good governance should comprise these 5 elements that promote al-ihsan or excellence and realization of maqasid sharia. And these 5 core elements comprise, number 1 is transparency, the second one is accountability, the third one is responsibility, the fourth one is independency, and the fifth one is fairness. And we abbreviate these into tarif. So tarif means transparency, accountability, responsibility, independency, and fairness. Next slide, please. Next again. So why we need to have this good Nazir governance document of technical notes. So actually, this document is set to address several objectives. The first one is to act as a reference. So this should be our reference for Nazir institutions in carrying out governance in their organization. And the second one is to provide indicators and measurement standards of good Nazir governance that can be implemented in our organization. So this is a very important, and hopefully we are expecting that this technical note will also be relevant to all Waqf institutions. And one thing that needs to be taken into consideration, that the standards should be comprehended together with other regulations, such as Waqf law and regulation, accounting standards, and other regulatory derivations. Okay, next slide, please. So what should be our methodology? Of course, the discussion of technical notes, it employs a qualitative framework through intensive international working group meetings. And to enrich these technical notes, we also propose formulation of an index, which we call as Good Nazir Governance Index. So Good Nazir Governance Index is basically a multi-weighted index that is derived from the basic principles of governance, comprising the tarif principle, transparency, accountability, responsibility, independency, and fairness, along with their indicators. Next. Next slide. We can directly go to this dimension and indicator. So we have several indicators reflecting the definition of transparency dimension. In the transparency dimension, we have 5 indicators. The first one is the availability of SOP of fund sources rights for Nazir. And then the second one is the sources of funds as highlighted should be in accordance with the Sharia and existing regulation and should comply with anti-money laundering and anti-terrorism policies. And the third one, the proportion of funds should also comply with the percentage highlighted in the regulation, and double counting should be avoided. And there should also be a policy or SOP to mitigate the things that if the target is not achieved. So you need to have this kind of policy. Next slide, please. And for accountability, we have several indicators, at least 8 indicators here, started from the presence of complete organizational structure and job description, and also it should be equipped with proper organizational planning. And then in terms of the structure, a Nazir institution should have at least a chairman, a secretary, and a treasurer, and the structures implementing various functions like Waqf collection, asset and financial management, and so on, including internal audit and shadow supervision, risk management. And then Nazir institution should also have a sound and proper SOP and dedicated structure or committee to ensure the efficiency and the effectiveness of organizational functions implementation. Yeah. So of course, in terms of good Nazir governance implementation, there should be a committee or a structure that is responsible to ensure its effective and efficient operation. And then the next one is related with the main characteristic that should be there, yeah, that should be owned by Nazir institution. And the next is related with the availability of certified professional Nazir, yeah. And then this certification, of course, should be done by independent Waqf supervisor that is acknowledged by the professional certification body. Yeah, and of course, the presence of regular human development program is also needed. Yeah, and the policy for istibda or exchange of Waqf asset is also needed. So these become the indicators of accountability. Next slide, please. Yeah. And then the third dimension is responsibility. We have four indicators here. The first one is on the presence of annual audited financial report, followed by the annual audited Sharia report. And also, we need to have an internal risk management report on semester basis. And of course, the last one, which is also very important, is the compliance aspect with the government and or public information regulations. So this will ensure the responsibility of Nazir institution. And for the independency, we have 7 indicators. And as you can see, yeah, from your screen, that independence is very important. It is closely related with the presence of sound and proper ethical code of conduct. Yeah, and then another things are related with the ethical aspect, and the presence of ethical committee is also very, very important, because we need to ensure the soundness of the implementation of this ethical code of conduct. And declaration of ethical commitment signed by each Nazir officer is also needed to ensure the ethical responsibility. And we should also avoid any type of conflict of interest that may harm our organization. And the last one, proper SOP for the appointment of independent external auditor is also needed. So these become the indicators for independency. And for fairness, we have 4 indicators. Yeah, number 1 is on the presence of SOP that is related with human resource recruitment system to ensure fairness, of course. And you need also to have SOP for human resource development, and also the presence of policy, including planning, implementation, control, and reporting of the human resources development is also needed. And the last one is on the availability of sound and fair career path and remuneration system. And next slide, please. Okay, so what we are doing, yeah, after we discuss on the dimensions and indicators, now we come to the technical assessment methodology, and we put all indicators in the table, and we give the code just to this is needed when it comes to the issue of calculation. Yeah, and then we add 3 Likert scores here. Yeah, the least score will give us information on not availability and also not compliance of the indicator. Yeah, and also the second score is talking about the incomplete or partially complied indicator, and the third one is on the complete or fully complied indicator. So we put this next as a guidance for Nazir officer to observe the actual condition of Nazir institution. Yeah, and also this will guide us in the efforts to improve the quality of good Nazir governance itself. Next, so we put this on the Likert score. Next, yeah, next, yeah, next, and yeah, next. Next again. Yes. And what we do next is we calculate. So from the score that you have put to all indicators in each dimension, and then we use it as the basis for calculating the score of Good Nazir Governance Index. Yeah, and the formula is like this: the indicator score is equal to the actual score that you have put in the previous columns or tables. Yeah, minus the minimum score of the indicator divided by maximum minus minimum score of the indicator. So this is a general formula for an index. Next slide, please. And then this is how we calculate. And in analyzing the weight of each dimension, tariff dimension here, we apply the AHP approach. Yeah, AHP is analytical hierarchy process approach. And the questionnaire of AHP was distributed towards the experts and some members of the working group. And then after they filling up all the forms, all the questionnaires, and then they return it to us, and we come up with this index weight. Yeah, so the weight
Dr.
of each.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm about to finish. Next.
Thank you.
Yeah, next. Okay, this is the formula. Since we are creating multi-stage weighted index, so each dimension can also be calculated, the index of each dimension. So what should be the interpretation? Yeah, we divide into four categories. This follows the Waqf core principles document, in which they divide the compliance level into four groups. Yeah, the first one is less compliant, the second one is materially non-compliant, the third one is largely compliant, and the last one is compliant. And next slide. Yeah, okay. Inshallah, it will be validated during our meeting next week, inshallah, in Leeds, United Kingdom. For those who reside in UK, you may come to Leeds. Yeah, and then inshallah, this document will be ratified by all the members of the World Zakat and Waqf Forum. By that, I end my presentation. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for good management of presentation, Dr. Irfan Shauki Bek, and your valuable notes on this public hearing technical notes on Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. And all audience and the speakers and experts reviewers, now we come to the next agenda as to the expert review session. This public hearing technical notes on Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles will be reviewed with the experts. Actually, we have in this agenda 3 experts reviewers. First, our Professor Habib Ahmed from Sarjah Chair in Islamic Law and Finance, Durham University of the United Kingdom. Please welcome. We would like to invite the Professor Habib Ahmed to come to stage and give your reviews on these technical notes on Zakat core principles. Time is yours, Professor.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Excuse me. I just want to start by thanking the organizers for taking this very important initiative, especially Baznas, Bank Indonesia, Islamic Development Bank, to come up with these core principles of a very important sector in Islamic economics and finance. Now, I was asked to review the documents for the Zakat core principles, the technical notes. I understand that there are 3 people and we have 40 minutes, so I'll try to give my comments within 12 to 15 minutes time. Now, before I go to the specific document, I just want to make a general comment on the approach, which I think is important to understand the approach which should be taken in these core principles. Now, if you look at regulations and supervision related issues, we can see that on one extreme, there would be a lot of regulations, and the other end, we have governance. So there is a trade-off between what should the regulators regulate and what we leave to the non-profit organizations, for example, Zakat and Waqf organizations, in terms of managing things through the governance process. Usually, regulations are used to mitigate risks. And since there's not too much risks in Zakat organizations other than some which is identified misappropriation, I think the approach should be to improve the governance. This is partly because regulations are costly and inefficient and sometimes creates bottlenecks. In many countries like UK, the regulatory framework for non-profit organizations focuses on governance, not on regulations. And the second point, which also Brother Umar Ansari mentioned, was related to principles versus rules. Again, I think when you're talking about the core principles, they should focus on the principles, not too much on the rules, because the rules will be determined by the supervisors as deemed necessary, given their local circumstances. Now, when I read these technical notes, I had the feeling that maybe there is too much authority given to the Zakat supervisor on a broad range of issues. And in some cases, I feel that there's too much focus on rules rather than on principles. So this is a general feeling I had. But as I mentioned, when you focus on the rules, then it becomes a bit rigid. And in some ways, if you're looking at different jurisdictions, I think it becomes a bit difficult to implement the rules, given the different context of jurisdictions. Now, coming to, I mean, there are two technical notes, one on Zakat collection and the other on management. And as we have seen, they're very long documents. So I'm not going to go into too much of details, just highlight a few points. For example, again, I'm not sure if you want to show the documents, but I can mention or highlight the points I want to make. For example, in Zakat collection management, Dimension 1, which relates to relevant regulations on fatwa for Zakat organizations. Here, again, the point number 7, it says Zakat institutions must be formally appointed by the government or by respective authority related to Islamic affairs. Now, this is, again, one of the examples of the rule-based approach, which I mentioned. Now, we have to understand, as this technical note identifies, there are 3 systems of Zakat management: the partial, the comprehensive, the partial, the secular Zakat management systems. But I think there's another category of which needs to be included, which is that there are 3 types of Zakat organizations. One is the government-run ministries, basically. For example, in Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, the government itself collects Zakat and distributes Zakat. And then you have specialized government-linked organizations. And these would be, for example, Basnas, which is in Indonesia, and PPZ in Malaysia. These are public created entities which are specialized entities which manage the Zakat. And then we have non-profit organizations. And non-profit organizations probably are the dominant types of organizations in partial and secular management systems. So I think, as I mentioned, like the point 7, when you're saying Zakat institutions must be formally appointed by the government or by respective authority related to Islamic affairs, in jurisdictions where you have partial or secular, regulatory systems, Zakat organizations would be non-profit organizations. So I'm not sure how this specific point would apply to non-profit organizations. So this is an example of, as I said, a rule-based approach, which I felt was dominant in the document. The other point, when the presentation was made on this technical note, there was a mention of indicator number 9, that non-Muslim organizations cannot collect zakah. Actually, the document which I was given, it did not have this indicator. My indicator stopped at number 7 for the first dimension. I just have a point here. Again, I don't think we should be too much going into this, because we know that United Nations UNHCR, High Commissioner for Refugees, they are collecting zakah and distributing zakah. So if you apply this rule that non-Muslim organizations cannot collect zakah, UNHCR would actually, in some ways, not qualify under this rule. Going on, again, I understand that time is limited. A small point in terms of dimension 6, indicator 5, I think it mentions that zakat can be collected both on Hijri calendar and Gregorian calendar basis. I think there has to be a clarification that the Hijri calendar should be used, because all the Islamic rituals are based on the Hijri calendar, for example, Ramadan, Hajj, among others. If a Gregorian calendar is used, maybe it should be added that adjustments has to be made to match the time of the Hijri calendar. Now, another point in dimension 7 of this technical note talks about the risks. I think the word risk is used in a very general sense, especially when you talk about risk management. What I understand from the document is that you are trying to focus on misappropriation or misuse of zakah funds. And this would fall under operational risk. So again, I think when you talk about risk management, usually people would think about different types of risks, but here we're talking about a very specific operational risk. And going on, dimension 8, identifying contemporary forms of assets. I think dimension 8 deals with identifying for contemporary forms of assets, which is very important. But I think another key issue, and I'm not sure if this technical note should deal with it, is in terms of how zakah should be in some ways levied on different types of assets, because there are different interpretations. For example, when we're talking about stocks and savings, especially if you're investing in stock markets, for example, should the zakah be on the returns, or it should be on the whole capital? And depending on what interpretation you choose, there will be a big difference in terms of zakah collection. So again, I'm not sure if this should be included in the because these are very minor kind of things, but this is an important aspect of zakah, not only to identify the zakahable assets, but how zakah should be implemented on these assets. I mean, there are some other small points. I'll maybe send this document so you can have a look at it. I have written out the points so you can look at it. And so I'll move on to the second document, which is on disbursement. I have the same comment for dimension 1 for disbursement. Indicator 5 again talks about the government should be responsible for zakah related issues. And again, I think the fact that you may have non-profit organizations, some of these recommendations may not be appropriate. And furthermore, I think the experience when we look at government run and government interference in zakah and Waqf organizations, we see that another layer of bureaucracy is added, and sometimes it adds to more inefficiencies. So we have to be careful in terms of what is the right balance of the regulations and the supervisor and the functions of these organizations. There has to be, as I mentioned, probably more focus on governance rather than regulations when we look at zakah organizations and also Waqf organizations. Now, in terms of distribution, I think one of the key things is that the document touches on impact, but I think when we're talking about zakah organizations, the disbursement and impact are very important. When you're disbursing and you're not measuring the impact, actually it is in some ways you're not trying to see what is the actual role of zakah. As is mentioned in several times in the document, that one of the key roles of zakah is to alleviate poverty. And how do we understand or know that zakah is alleviating poverty? It is not through disbursements, because once you disburse, we don't know what's happening. So I think the impact assessment has to be a very important part. And even though there is a dimension on impact, I think it again relegates the impact assessment to the regulator or the supervisor, not the zakah organizations itself. So I think that the impact has to be assessed at the zakah organization level, not at the supervisor level. Dimension 11, it talks about, I think, the impact which I just mentioned. I have some other small points which again I will send to you. To end in some ways the discussion, I just want to mention a couple of points. One is that even though the technical notes for zakah collection and disbursement are presented separately, I think they are interlinked. And the interlink comes from the fact that if the impact of disbursement is there and there's transparency, people are aware that the zakah organization is in some ways using their zakah and creating an impact, that will also increase the collection of zakah. So I don't know in which document you can mention this link, because ultimately the collection will be related to the way zakah is distributed and the impact it creates. The final point, again, I want to mention is about, I think, the 2 points. One is, even though the term efficiency is mentioned once or twice in the document, I think there is a need to actually explicitly mention that the zakat distribution should be efficient. And by that, we mean that it should be done at a low cost, so that most of the zakat collection is distributed to the beneficiaries. And maybe you can add one of the indicators for efficiency, and one option to measure efficiency of zakah operations would be to look at the total costs of operations to total disbursements. So if you have a high cost of, if 30% of or 20% of the zakah collection is used for operational purposes, that means you have 80% going to the recipients. If your efficiency is high and you can only use 10% of the zakah collection as amil for your operations, then you have 90% going to the zakah recipients. So I think there is a need to include this efficiency measure and this aspect into the document. And I think maybe when you're talking about dimension 3, financial management and disbursement of funds, you can add one of the indicators to include the efficiency, which can be measured by total costs of operations divided by the total disbursements. Again, I think another way in which efficiency can be used, and this is not explicitly mentioned in the document I received, was the use of digital technology and also modern business practices. I think it's important to include these operational business models which are very relevant during contemporary times. Especially when we see that there are a lot of efforts nowadays to come up with digital platforms which is collecting zakah and distributing them. The final point I just want to make is that the success of both zakah and Waqf organizations depends on building trust. It is very important that when we are looking at zakah collection and how it is distributed, it will actually depend on what people think about the organization. If there's trust on the organization, the collection will be high. And again, there's a cycle there. if the disbursement creates impact, that impact is known to the zakah payers, they will be willing to pay zakah and the collection will increase. So I think, again, I'm not sure how you're going to introduce this, but the key thing would be to create a governance system in both zakah and Waqf organizations. Of course, I'm talking zakah organizations here, that creates trust among donors and zakah payers so that they can contribute to the zakah organizations, which can create impact. And for the final point, which I personally feel that the regulation should not be too much intrusive. The focus should be on governance. And maybe we should not focus too much on rules, but on the principles. Well, those are the comments I had on the two documents which I had reviewed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Habib Ahmed, for your fruitful insights through these technical notes on Zakat core principle as well as Waqf core principles. Thank you again for Professor Habib Ahmed. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to invite the second expert to review these technical notes on Waqf core principle. Please welcome Dr. Dadang Mulyawan as Vice Rector of Universitas Islam Internasional Indonesia.
Thank you very much, Pak. Long no see, so it's always a good time for me to again to comment on these very important documents. I like to also note what has been said by Professor Habib Ahmed, which I cannot agree more that the existence of these institutions, particularly Zakat and Waqf, is based on the trust. Again, as it has been also reviewed that this technical document is a derivations from the core principle, and it has to go along with other relevant standards like in the banking, capital market, and also insurance atmospheres. First, I really welcome the completion of this draft because it is so important. Why? Because of the two reasons. First, Zakat and Waqf has not to be alienated in a silo. It has to interact with other subsectors. So cross-sector recognition here is very, very essential for us, for other people to understand how this institution works and run, and to ensure that all the participants, contributors are competent enough, supported by sound mechanisms to ensure the trust is always maintained all the times. Second, again, like any other financial institutions, that internal strength of any financial institutions is very much, again, important. Why? Because there are a lot of research showing that the lack of management capability is a very strong indicators to the financial distress. So again, based on several research, weak management capability leads to, in the next 4 years, in the data says it will have a financial distress. So again, no matter how strong the financial position of one company, including this Zakat and Waqf, without capable management will lead to problem. Secondly, again, when we talk about the components of the governance, again, governance has to be standing side by side with risk management, regulation, and also code of conduct. So again, this element has to mutually reinforcing one on another. So again, strengthening the transparency, accountability, responsibility, independency, and fairness, it has to stand with the same standard with other institution like in the banking. Thanks to Pak Irfan for sharing about the emphasis on accountability as number one, in any other institution. Again, based on our research, if I may share, the appetite for a donor to do a charity or to put their assets in terms of zakat or waqf is basically very much affected by the experience of people. Like, for example, a banker, for example, if somebody want to put a proposal for donations for zakat and waqf, well, conceptually, it was like something to be fire forget, give and forget. But it is not the case. The research, the empirical research shows to us that, every people will be, affected by their experience, individual experience. For example, if Pak Irfan, for example, he's a banker, and then, directly or indirectly, he would, consider efficiency in Islamic charity or social institution like zakat and waqf as if it operates like a banking institutions, despite different operation, of course, that in the banking, it will be very strict because there will be a social claims against the value of the net worth. Although it is different in some factors, but again, the donors will consider efficiency, accountability to make sure that the impact is very much in accordance to what he expects. So again, in this case, deriving the technical core principle into technical notes to documents that will be much easier for everyone to translate all the principles and concept into a day-to-day activities. Very, very much important and very much appreciated. And then I also see that through these technical notes, the mechanisms has become much, much clearer. Why? Because he explains about the mechanisms, who will do it, what to do, and then including the emphasis on having an SOP. Well, SOPs, sometimes it looks so simple, but it plays a very, very important role just to make sure that all the process is accordance with the governance. And then again, if I may also suggest that governance has to be standing at the same level as the regulation. Why? Because governance will prevent bad things to happen. And then in the longer, in a more strategic code of conduct has to be also be prepared to, to equip the regulatory framework of this, these new sectors to develop and to sustain in the longer terms. My last point, again, I just want to re-emphasize that the presence of zakat and waqf sectors is very much important in macroeconomic level because as we can see and witness what happened nowadays, that again, unforeseen circumstances happens in just seconds. Nobody can foresee what happened in the next 1 or 2 days. Pandemic, for example. This is the why the sectors is becoming very important because again, commercial sectors alone, to me, is not sufficient. Equipped with a very, I should say, limited portions of fiscal capability. If with the presence of these sectors, I'm sure that, Islamic economic system can show it's superior in contributing to the society, development, and particularly in the very deprived period where we have to show our, brotherhood as much as possible. Again, thank you very much, Pak Hasbi, Pak Irfan, for and Pak for everyone to initiate again, to continue the initiations from the core principle until the technical notes can be available for us. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Really appreciate your suggestion, Dr. Dadang Mulyawan, as well as we work together to build the good ecosystem of Waqf and Zakat. Hopefully, with this technical notes on Zakat core principles as well as Waqf core principles, Indonesia can lead the development of Zakat and Waqf in the world, inshallah. Thank you very much, Dr. Dadang. And we come to the last expert reviewers from the Deputy Secretary General, World Zakat and Waqf Forum. We would like to invite Dr. Elnur Salih Hafiq. The place is yours, Dr. Salih Hafiq.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Dear organizers, distinguished speakers of this important event, let me at the beginning to express my pleasure to be among distinguished speakers and reviewers of these important documents. I would like to I don't know, I have maybe 10 minutes for my review. And I will try to be as fast as I can. Let's first to focus on the, I would like to highlight some of benefits for Zakat and Waqf institutions that will implement and follow these technical notes and Zakat and Waqf core principles. As we know, these technical notes are designed to reference Zakat and Waqf authorities in setting appropriate Zakat and Waqf regulations and policy. Technical notes for Zakat and Waqf core principles covering and include key principles and areas that should be implemented for the success of Zakat and Waqf institutions. Therefore, these technical notes can be of great support in implementing key principles for successful Zakat management, including collection, distribution, and utilization of Zakat. Zakat collection and distribution are in close correlation, and appropriate Zakat distribution management is the cornerstone of successful Zakat collection management. We know in practice that Zakat institutions and organizations that have successful distribution of Zakat every year they have increase of, and it is very usual process in most of Zakat institutions, that improving the Zakat distribution, their collection increasing, they have growth of Zakat collection every year. Technical notes for Zakat and Waqf core principles help us in the establishment and management of successful Zakat and Waqf institution. Also, these technical notes can be of great help for the measurement of the progress and appropriate implementation of key principles for successful Zakat and Waqf management. With some of, we already see some of the principles and some important points that has been presented during this event, and we see that some of them can help us in the measurement of the progress of Zakat, especially Zakat institutions. Unfortunately, currently in large number of majority Muslim populated countries, as well as in countries where Muslims, in minority Muslim populated countries, but where we have millions of Muslims living in these countries, unfortunately today there don't exist proper and successful Zakat and Waqf institutions. We can identify today only several successful models of institutional Zakat management and Waqf management. Most of majority Muslim populated countries lack appropriate regulation and proper Zakat institutions. I can say last year I worked on one project that was created by UNDP, one of UN agencies, for one of the Muslim countries, majority Muslim populated countries, with the percentage of around 99% of Muslims in Africa. I don't want to say the name of the country, but unfortunately, till the last year, they lack any institution for the collection and distribution of Zakat. And this UN agency with the government of this country create the project for the Zakat institutionalization and establishment of the proper Zakat management in that country. And that's why these Zakat core principles and these technical notes are very important for some governments and for some Muslim communities to be able to see what is the some recommendations, references, and what they can follow and implement in their countries to be able to establish successful Zakat institutions. And it is, of course, it is not easy. All these principles cannot be implemented immediately, and also in the countries where we see, such as Indonesia, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and others, where there are well-established Zakat institutions, we still see the room for the progress and need for more progress in implementing some of these principles. Also, the fact that only less than 10% of global Zakat collection potential has been collected by Zakat institutions. And we can say today that only 30 million, around 30 billion of US dollar has been collected by Zakat institutions. We have great responsibility to improve existing practice of Zakat management and work together on protecting, safeguarding Zakat as a pillar of Islam from various attempts of abuse, misuse, and violation. Appropriate legal foundation and Sharia regulations and framework for establishment and operation of Zakat institutions is of key importance, and these technical notes provide appropriate guidelines related to that, including guidelines related to requirements for the proper establishment of Zakat institutions in secular countries, and guidelines that address the issue of increasing number of international organizations and non-Muslim organizations that are attempting to collect. My opinion is, and I believe most of us will agree, that Zakat is not ordinary donation. And that's why Zakat cannot be collected by every humanitarian organization. Some specific requirements should to be fulfilled for some organization to be able to collect and to distribute Zakat. These technical notes for Zakat core principles can help us in our mission of implementation of key regulations related to Zakat and making proper impact for deserved recipients of Zakat and the development of the community. Making proper impact in communities is main mission of Zakat institutions. These notes for Zakat core principles can also help us in introducing necessary innovations in Zakat collection and distribution management, including digitalization, greater transparency, and appropriate reporting that will be more and more expected and required by new generations of Zakat payers. In addition to key segments such as legal foundations, Zakat supervision, Zakat governance, intermediary function, risk management, and Sharia governance, a very important segment is also Zakat socialization and education of all stakeholders that include management and employees in Zakat institutions, supervisory institutions, as well as Zakat payers and Zakat beneficiaries. All stakeholders in the process of Zakat collection, distribution, and utilization have to be informed and educated about key principles and regulations. A process of implementation of key principles for successful Waqf management and good Nazir governance, in addition to proper legal foundation, accountability, responsibility, transparency, independency, should also include appropriate socialization and education of all stakeholders. Successful Zakat and Waqf institutions are capable to establish appropriate collaborations for the benefit of Zakat beneficiaries and wider community. We need more initiatives and platforms for partnerships and collaboration between Zakat and Waqf institutions on a local, national, regional, and international level. Well-established and successful Zakat and Waqf institutions can contribute significantly to the development of countries and communities, as well as achieving SDGs on national and international level. And at the end, Zakat and Waqf principles are open documents that will need constant improvements in coming years and decades to address new challenges and requirements. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Elnur Salih Hafiq, as the Deputy Secretary General, World Zakat and Waqf Forum. Alhamdulillah, we step to the last agenda as in discussion. Yeah, we have in this chat box one question relevant to these technical notes on Zakat core principle and Waqf core principle. The question comes from Bagus. First, I will read. I would like to ask about a report and publication of performance, distribution process and impact of Zakat and Waqf institutions. Will it be integrated worldwide with high level of detail, especially for cash, Zakat and Waqf? Thank you. I think this would address to first Dr. Hasbi as the lead for Zakat core principle, and again addressed to Dr. Irfan. Please to respond these questions.
Yeah, Pak Irfan, maybe I'm first to answer the Bagus Wilar Nugroho, ya, from which university? Moderator?
He
I think
declare.
Yeah, he doesn't mention also. Okay. He asked about report and publication of performance. Yeah, especially in Zakat institution. In our institution Basnas, yeah, I think we have a national Zakat index that have been implemented every year to measure of the performance of Zakat institution or Zakat Zakat performance in each region. Yeah, maybe in as well in regency cities and also in the province and as well the national level. Then Mr. Bagus Wilar Nugroho, you can see the report of the publication of Zakat performance of Indonesia via www. Maybe I promote Mr. Moderator, www.puskasbasnas.com. Visit this website and you can find of the report and publication about the Zakat performance, especially in Indonesia. As well as in this report, we have also mentioned about the impact, how the impact of the Zakat activities in Indonesia, especially in the distribution and utilization, with the CBES model. CBES model has been formulated by Dr. Irfan, I think. Yes, I think maybe for me, Mr. Moderator, Dr. Irfan maybe can complete this one. Thank you.
Yeah, Thank you for your response, Dr. Hasbi. I think, the source of Puskas Basnas is really valuable to seek the report as well as the performance of Zakat in Indonesia, especially that related to the question. I think this data can be observed and obtained for many researchers as well as the policymakers in Indonesia, as you can emulate to another countries if you well with this data. Please, Dr. Irfan, to respond this question.
I would like to raise 2 points in this regard. Number one, Alhamdulillah, in the context of Indonesia, of course, we already have National Zakat Index as well as National Waqf Index. So National Waqf Index has been published last year in 2021, and the full report comparing the performance of National Waqf system 2020 until 2021 has also been made, and it's available online. You can download it in our Indonesia Waqf Board website. This is a very important milestone in the development of Zakat and Waqf because we can observe the performance based on certain valid indicators, and we can also see the improvement in terms of index value or index score. And of course, improvement of the value means that there is a betterment in the system of Zakat and Awqaf. That's the first point. The second point, actually, at global level, at WZWF level, the Secretariat, in collaboration with the Research and Development Unit, we have formulated what we call as World Zakat Performance Index, WZPI, which is a conceptual formulation of indicate performance measurement of Zakat system. So we have formulated that one, and what we need is the agreement from all the WZWF member countries to use this, especially for the Zakat part, to use it as part of our effort to have a global measurement standard. So we can compare also the performance from one to other country. Comparison is not to see who is better or who is the best. No, it's not in that position. But what we are going to do is we want to have the same level of management quality, the same level of management quality, so that the gap between countries can be reduced. So this is the objective, and every annual meeting we can evaluate the performance of each country, and we may extend our assistance to help World Zakat and Waqf Forum member countries to improve its quality of Zakat and Waqf system by receiving the assistance from the other countries who have already exceeded, who have achieved better performance. So this is the needs for us in this forum to exchange of ideas, of experience, and also exchange of evaluation management system, which is very, very important. And according to our humble experience in Indonesia, once you can show people about our transparency and accountability, which can be observed through various measurement index, so the number of collected fund can be improved, and also the number of coverage, the number of beneficiaries coverage can also be improved, meaning that the role of Zakat and Waqf becomes more important. I hope that answers the question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your response, Dr. Irfan. And alhamdulillah, we have two other questions. I think this is the last time to respond. First, the question comes from Sandy from International Islamic University, Malaysia. This question addressed to Dr. Hasbi. Please share your view about the possibility of implementing the Zakat core principle in other countries, both to Muslim and non-Muslim countries. And do you have the latest data about the total countries that have acknowledged the Zakat core principle? This addressed to Dr. Hasbi. And I think this is the last to Dr. Irfan. The question comes from Abu Bakar from Sozekon. I think this is from Sokoto, Nigeria. From Abu Bakar, my question is that how temporary and permanent Waqf asset can be accommodated in the regulatory Waqf framework? This is the last question. Please from Dr. Hasbi first, and after that, Dr. Irfan to respond to both questions.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Maybe a little bit to comment the question from the Mr. Sandi Primanda Satyo from IUM. Maybe Dr. Irfan can complete my comment after. Okay, please share your view about the possibility of implementing the zakat core principle in other countries, both in Muslim and both in two Muslim and non-Muslim countries. Yeah, I think the zakat core principle is the formulate to accommodate about both to Muslim and non-Muslim countries. Besides, we divide into three model that we said before. That is a comprehensive model countries of zakat, partial model countries of zakat, and which one? I forget what last one. Secular model. Secular model. That why we separated about three model, because we want the zakat core principle document can implemented in the three model countries. Yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, maybe Dr. Ipan completing my comment. And number two, do you have the latest data about total country? Yeah, actually, I don't have the valid data of how many countries that have been acknowledged of the zakat core principle document, but seems in our opinion and maybe in our activity, all of the countries of the World Zakat and Waqf member countries, in my opinion, especially have acknowledged of this document to especially in the situation that have that, for example, Indonesia, for example, MORA, Ministry of Religion Affairs, if they will create the regulation, keputusan, and peraturan, the first step is they look in the zakat core principle document, the first step, before drafting the document. And I think this situation also already in Brunei Darussalam and also Malaysia and also in other countries. But actually I don't have the valid data how many countries that have been acknowledged positively, absolutely, of zakat. Inshallah, after this I will make sure the data about how many countries that have acknowledged. But in our opinion, the World Zakat and Waqf Forum, all of the member of World Zakat and Waqf Forum countries must have to acknowledge of this document. That's for me, Mr. Mudatar. Maybe Dr. Irfan can complete this one.
Thank you, Dr. Hasbi. We appreciate your effort to find out this data. Hopefully we can know and answer this by valid data, both in Muslim and non-Muslim countries. Thank you. Tafadhol, Ustaz, Dr. Irfan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, inshallah, this may also be validated by Dr. Elnur Salihovic as the Deputy Secretary General, that inshallah all the members actually agree with this one. And that's why they are also involved in the discussion of the technical notes, showing that the agreement and approval on the core principles of zakat and wakaf. And officially it was agreed during the meeting, I think 5 or 6 years back, the agreement to approve or to ratify the zakat core principles document. And for the wakaf asset, in the wakaf core principles, the wakaf asset class has also been discussed in detail, including the temporary and permanent wakaf. And of course, definition of temporary and permanent should be in line with the country's regulation, yeah, respective member countries' regulation. Yeah, for example, if you are in Indonesia, then a definition of temporary Waqf asset should be referred to the Waqf regulation prevailing in Indonesia. Similarly, if it is in Malaysia, then you have to follow the local regulation. And what is highlighted here is that there should be a clear definition, yeah, on this temporary and permanent Waqf asset. Yeah, so there has to be a clear definition on this, and also the how to regulate about the temporary Waqf asset. For example, in Indonesia, yeah, the minimum, if we talk about the time duration, so minimum time duration for the temporary Waqf asset should be at least 1 year. Yeah, that and it cannot be less than 1 year. So if you want to have less than 1 year, let's say 6 months, yeah, so you cannot have temporary Waqf asset for less than 1 year. It has to be minimum 1 year. So it may be different with other country. It may be different with the case of Malaysia and Nigeria or in Bosnia. Yeah, it may be different. But the principle says that everything, including this temporary and permanent Waqf, must be clearly defined. Yeah, and also must be clearly regulated. Yeah, in the country's Waqf regulation. Yeah. I think that's my answer. Thank you.
Mr. Moderator, can I add up some information about the core principle?
Please welcome Dr. Dada.
Okay, just 5 minutes. I would like to refer back to the first initiation in year 2013-14, if I'm not mistaken. So we were with Pak Irfan Shoki, Basnas, and also Badan Wakaf Indonesia. So that initiative was also based on our experience when I was a candidate in IRTI IDB, where the international standard for Islamic economic and finance that include not only the commercial but also social sectors are very, very important. So for the commercial sectors, we have IFSB in our hand that now in the process of recognition by the IMF and World Bank. Why is that very important? It's because, almost, or if I have to say, many countries will go to the FSAP exercise and RCAP. What is FSAP? FSAP stands for the Financial Sector Assessment Program, where the soundness and stability of one country is assessed by the international organizations. So when it comes to the assessment process, the presence of standards is very, very important because, the assessor has to make sure that a country referring to a valid standards in order to assure the development process and also financial stability is maintained very well. So when it comes to the Islamic social sectors, social finance, again, we saw some, cavity, lacks of standards. That's why at the time we decide to work hand in hand together, not only Indonesia, but supported by the IDB, World Bank, and also other OIC member countries to sit together and to formulate these standards. Again, I think this is our homework, Pak Irfan, and also Pak Hasbi, that I think the suggestion from the participant is very much important, particularly from Pak Sandi, because we need to, again, move forward, particularly go together, not only Indonesia, but with other members from WAD and Zakat, Zakat and Waqf forums to do the assessment and to make sure that, all the country in OIC, I've got also informal information from Pak Irfan and Pak Hasbi that it has been many country that has acknowledged this standard, but we need to, to do an affirmative action to show that we have, the standards in our systems. So again, Pak, that's the homework for us. That's only my suggestion. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Dr. Dadang Mulyawan. And finally, we come into the last agenda. On behalf as a moderator, I would like to say thank for all honorable speakers, experts as reviewers into this public hearing, technical notes on Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. And I give actually 1 minute for every expert reviewers to say a final words, responses, these technical notes on Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. I would like to invite first Dr. Elnur Salih Hafiq to deliver final words, and secondly, Dr. Dadang, and the last, Professor Habib Ahmed, to deliver final words, responses, these technical notes on Zakat core principles as well as Waqf core principles. You're welcome, Dr. Elnur Salih Hafiq, 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I would like to I would like to say this initiative and this Zakat and Waqf core principles and these technical notes are the result of the good collaboration between some important institutions initiated by the Islamic Development Bank and the Research Institute of the Islamic Development Bank, Bank Indonesia, Basnas, and World Zakat and Waqf Forum. And for us for the implementation of these standards and the key mission and of these standards and key goal of these standards is to have successful Zakat and Waqf institutions and to make impact on the ground and to help and support the people in need and the community and country developments. And I would like just to highlight the importance of our collaboration, and it will be more and more important in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Salih Hafiq. Please welcome Dr. Dadang for final words.
Thank you, Pak. I'd like to say like this, one value will exist among us if we all agree to sustain and to promote it as a noble value. So again, initiatives is very good, and then research also very good, but now we are coming to the step or phase of the implementations. So I think, again, I would like to kindly remind us, particularly relevant institutions like from Indonesia, like Basnas and Badan Wakaf Indonesia, as well as other institutions from other countries to work together and to formulate affirmative actions for us to make and to assure that institutions can contribute better and better in the future. Thank you very much.
MashaAllah, nice word. And the last for Professor Habib Ahmed, your last word, please.
Your voice is not clear.
Clear.
Okay, sorry about that. I just want to reiterate what Dr. Dadang has mentioned, that I think it's good to have these core principles. Their utility comes by applying them in real life. I think beyond doing this very important work of developing the core principles, I think it is important to in some ways publicize them. And probably the World Zakat and Waqf Forum is a good venue to do that. The implementation can be done at the national level or at the organization level. Now, of course, when you're talking about the national level implementation, it is a question of political will, and that sometimes can be more difficult. But the principles can be implemented at the organizational levels much easier. So I think there may be, in different countries, both Muslim, non-Muslim countries, a lot of Waqf and Zakat organizations which can benefit from these principles. And I think the key is to publicize these core principles so that at least the Zakat and Waqf organizations can use them in ways that can benefit not only the organizations, but also the communities they serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Habib Ahmed, and all speakers, expert reviewers, and all participants. As a moderator, I beg you apologize to this moderate this agenda and the time. I'll pass again to Buster the ceremony.
Thank you to all speakers and moderator for the insightful discussion. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to an end of public hearing technical notes and Zakat core principles and Waqf core principles. Once again, thank you to our speakers and moderator, and we would like to express our gratitude to invited guests and to all participants to have joined this event from the beginning till end. Stay safe, stay healthy, and strict on health protocol COVID-19. I am Empi Putri here. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and have a pleasant day.